Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the TSG Bikecast. And welcome back to part two of my chat with Jess Douglas. I hope you enjoyed the last episode of this. I really enjoyed talking to Jess. She's super interesting and she's done a lot in her life. And again, like I said before in the start of the previous episode, riding a bike for 24 hours and winning, three worlds and three nationals is a pretty big bloody feat. So in this episode, we continue chatting about that. Also, multi-stage racing in Mongolia and riding and winning the Croc Trophy in North Queensland. I know any long-time listeners of the show know that I have this weird fascination with endurance racing, even though probably because I'll never be able to do anything like that. I do 25Ks on an enduro bike and I'm pretty well cooked. So I really hope you enjoy this episode. We go through a lot. And I'd like to thank Jess again for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun. You can check Jess out on Instagram at JEDouglas73 on Instagram. And you can follow me at the TSG Bikecast on Instagram. And if you want to watch the episodes, I've been putting those on my YouTube channel, That Stoked Guy. So let's get into the episode. Thanks so much for everyone and the kind messages you've been giving me lately. And we'll see you all at the end of this episode. Enjoy part two, Solo Yolo with Jess Douglas. So instantly, like after the elation of winning your first worlds, you guys instantly set your sights on what's next in this style of racing?
No, I actually hit a really shit period.
Oh, right.
I didn't touch my bike for a month.
Oh, right.
I fell into a heap. It was like this deep, dark depression. And I reckon it was because I'd worked so hard. I'd put all my eggs in that basket and then it was like, and now what?
Yeah.
It was the craziest feeling. So what I did is after I realized that this was actually happening, I thought, okay, I've got some prize money. It was like $5,000 prize money. It was bloody amazing. Thank goodness I got some money back from the trip to Canada the last year. Bought a new fridge, bought a new bed, and I spent some money on an airfare and paid for the entry fee to go to the Alice Springs race. So I started hooking into all these stage races. So I went and did I think it was called the Ingeriki back then. It's now called the Redback.
Mm-hmm.
I also did what was it called? It was all around the Alpine area. It wasn't the Alpine Assault. It was... Anyway, it was a 7-day race and it started at Falls Creek and we finished at Beechworth.
Okay.
And we did all this crazy mountain biking down really hectic, gnarly, 4-wheel drive, just off-piste kind of tracks. Barely any, a little bit of mountain biking at Mount Beauty. The Falls Creek trails didn't exist yet.
No, it wasn't until 2012 when all that started.
There were some Beechworth trails we did, and that's about it. The rest was just hardcore shit. Sawtooth, bloody up, down kind of death. That was really cool. I also did the Croc Trophy that year. You've heard of the Croc Trophy?
Yeah, so tell us about that because I've been up there when Croc Trophy was on once when I was working on the World Cup trails with World Trail years ago. The Croc Trophy was on at the time. Tell people about it. It's a lot of people don't really know about it, but it's actually a pretty huge race in Australia and it's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. I know it's changed. I know the format's changed since I did it, but in 2011, it was the longest day was about 185K, and the shortest day I think maybe was 90K. I don't think we did any single track. There was no single track. It was just like a full-on road race for mountain bikers, but not road.
Yeah.
Just really, some of it was dirt road. Some of it was just, again, that off-piste kind of just way out back, don't want to die here kind of territory. and it's 45 degrees some of the days out the back of the Atherton Tablelands.
Oh, yeah.
Cairns was okay. It was just hot and humid and wet, and it rained. And long, hard. If you think about it, it was Survivor on bike. You know, that Survivor show.
Yeah.
It was just get up, go again, get up, go again, get up, go again, get up, go again, and set up your tent and sleep in shitty conditions and go find yourself a spot to dig a hole for a toilet and eat shit food.
Yeah.
I don't know. It really was hard.
Yeah, you got to deal with North Queensland as well. So there's like vines in the jungle that want to rip you off your bike. There's things that want to eat you. It's hot and humid, you know. It's like anyone who's spent time in North Queensland and done sports know exactly what it's like. It's
now look, Steve, one of the things that was really funny on the last day, we raced into a particular town. I can't remember what it was called, but it had a swimming pool. The swimming pool opened up. We all jumped in. It was great. And then we had about maybe 60 kilometres to go before we got to Cooktown. And we were all on the road, and there was police escort, and it was up and down undulating. And we weren't, it was like under control. And so we had to sit behind the police car, and the police car stayed the same speed, even on the freaking downhills. And all the guys, all the pros, everyone, we're all basically sitting side saddle on our seats because we're all double nicked, because we're all got sores everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone just wants to get to the end and finish, but everyone's ass is so sore. That was probably the toughest time in the entire race. Oh, and also the day that there was just bull dust everywhere. 4-wheel drive, just sand, and you're doing, I don't know, it feels like 1 kilometre an hour, because you can't you could ride through it, but you had to go in a really easy gear and just sort of spin through it and just sort of float over it. And I think the fattest tyres anyone had back in those days were 2.1s. I think I had 1.9s.
Wow.
But they weren't really floating along sand.
No, riding through bull dust wouldn't have been easy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, you won that year, didn't you? Was that the year you won?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you do any more after that, or was it just the one you did, a Croc Trophy?
No, I never went back. I just thought, nah, that was a lot of hard work.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I ended up giving my entry to another person from Victoria, and she had a great time.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, pass it on, pass them. Yeah, that's awesome. Pay it forward. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm going to divert a little for a second here. So like when I met you guys years and years ago, we've only ever met a couple of times, but you guys had a bunch of stores you started in Forest with the corner store. How did you guys decide to come up with that? Because that's how I met you and Norm when I was working for World Trail back in the day. Like we were building, just starting like the Epic Trail, and we were rebuilding like Stonefly. And Brody Chapman was working for you back then as well in the summertime.
Yes. Yeah. Bloody Brody. She's doing great guns.
Yeah. I was actually chatting her just recently. We're going to record together at some point, which is going to be cool. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, she's got a great story.
Yeah.
So how did we start the stores? Well, we were doing, and it was a relationship with Giant. We were doing bike hires from our home. We had some Giant bikes. We were in Forest. We'd moved to Forest from Geelong because we'd had the opportunity, and it was like my goal of becoming a world champion. Not that I knew I was going to become a world champion, but I just wanted to be by the trails. And Giant said to us, you guys need a shop front and we'll help you out. And so we had to find a shop front, and that was in Forest. And then we found a shop, and that took a long time. It was about a year in the making. And then in the meantime, that all got started, and that was great. And we started doing events. We had the Forest 6 Hour, then we started the Forest Festival. And then bloody Glenn Jacobs said, you need to do this up at Mount Buller. And so then we started doing that at Mount Buller. And then Glenn Jacobs, bloody well, and someone else. No, Glenn Jacobs told someone at the such and such council in Tasmania.
Oh, the Dorset Council.
Yeah. They were looking after Derby, and they needed a caretaker of that tin centre.
Yeah, the Tin Dragon Centre. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not what you know; it's who you know. So it was a mixture of Giant and Glenn Jacobs, actually, that sort of got us into that circle of things. And then, they were going really well. But, of course, other things started to happen in our lives. And we were doing, I think it was about 6 events a year, 6 cycling events and mountain biking events. We had 3 stores. I was still racing. I don't know. I can't think of anything else, but I think what eventually happened was our fuses just blew.
Yeah.
We just went, we actually can't do this anymore. So we started to sort of go, all right, well, we'll sell that one. We'll get rid of that one. We'll do this. We'll sell our bikes. I'll stop racing. It really hurt at the time, but it was a beautiful experience. It was so much fun being open when big events were on and getting to meet all the wonderful people and being involved in that mountain biking scene. But just probably got us at the end of our energy levels.
Yeah, you guys were involved like in that boom time for Australia. It was like that 2010 to 2014 when mountain biking really started to grow. Like I didn't get into the sport until 2010. I was 30 years old, and then I just realized I rode Cressy Descent for the first time as well, and I knew that I was going to get into the industry somehow, and I pretty much gave up my old life, and that's how I met Glenn Jacobs and Ryan Delarue and all those guys. I read about him in a magazine and went, shit, I'm a landscaper. I want to go try trail building. I'm a noob rider at 30, but I'm going to give it a go. And and then now I get to sit here and do this and hang out and talk to cool people and get to run a mountain bike park. And you think about that in the early 2000s, you ever think Australia would be in that sort of position, and it's pretty crazy to see how far it's come now.
Yeah, it is. And I know that Norm had a grand vision. See, my vision was always, I just want to ride. I just want to ride and go places and do amazing things. And I didn't even really care about winning races. The winning races was just the icing on the cake. And ultimately, all I wanted to do was just finish every race I ever did with no regrets.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tick all my boxes and make sure that was how it happened. When I would get to the position where it would get to about 80% of the race and I'd realize, okay, I'm here to win, that's when my mindset would start shifting and I'd go in for the kill. Yeah. Norm's mindset, on the other hand, was always, we need to make sure that, because when we were in forest, there were lots of trails sort of being built by kids and lots of things that were sort of going on that were maybe not so good for the industry and certainly for the name for mountain biking in the region. And so he was always about trail advocacy and what sort of trails were being built and were they going to last the weather and were they going to last if anything happened to the terrain or if his mindset was always, what if the government decides one day that mountain biking is no good for the environment? We need to sort of future-proof everything so that governments can't make those changes. So, yeah, he was more involved in that. And I was the person that said, well, I'll test it out.
Yes. That's awesome. That again, future-proofing. No one really thought about it back then. And it was, people like Norm, obviously, who was thinking about it too. And I've actually had another guy, Nick Bowman, on my podcast who was involved in the Fox Creek stuff, and I've had him on the show twice now. We've known each other for a number of years. And then Glenn Jacobs as well. And Simon French from Dirt Art. These guys were the Gary Patterson from Trailscapes. They were the early guys who were starting to see how do we future-proof this, but also help it grow and make it legal. And I mean, look at it now. It's just bloody bonkers.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely bonkers. It's good. It's good. I guess, my thoughts are that there's a lot of money being put into the trails. My all my hesitations are always, okay, so then why are people going to go visit that trail? What infrastructure is behind those trails that will make people come back and bring their family and bring their friends? And I think, that's what's really good when you go to towns or ski villages that have got infrastructure behind them.
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of trails like I love going to the Yangs. It's a local, but it's just so, there's no real, it's just a place to ride.
Yes.
And I think places to ride need to change.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, they're trying to now build. Derby's a great example. Of course, those Forest in the earlier days, it's all about building a trail destination. It's not just about taking your family for a holiday to go so dad or mum or kids can ride. You also got to have other things for people to do. We're lucky with places out here like Falls Creek and Bullen. You can go hiking, you can go hang out. There's places.
Yes.
There's all these other things that you want to make it a destination for everything, but have biking as your main focus. But you've just got at least some other shit to do. As well. Yeah. And
look, when we had the shops, that was certainly very exciting to be involved in that aspect, because you really, as a person who goes riding places yourself, you know that it's really cool if you can go have a coffee or get some breakfast or have some lunch or get a spare tube, or it's really nice if you can do that.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
It's actually harder. It's harder to actually do it than it is to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I remember Derby.
You need everyone on board.
Yeah, that's it. I remember in Derby, and I've said this little spiel on nearly every show because we always end up talking about Derby at some point. But in the early days of Derby, when we were first tagging out stage 1 in 2014, that town did not really want us there, and they weren't really keen on it, and they weren't really. You guys probably know as well because you guys were involved in it too, but they didn't really want us there. They were a bit uneasy. They thought we were a bunch of yahoos just coming to dig up their hill. And as they got to know us better and realized that we're respectful of nature, we're just these really chilled people. We're very polite, friendly, happy people. A lot of the locals that are still there now sort of accepted and went, oh, okay, this is actually probably a good thing. And then Derby's just now Derby, and it's like world renowned. And it's crazy to think that tiny little town in north and northeastern Tasmania is what it is.
Yeah, it does take a while. I think it happens in nearly every town that once was something, such as tin mining, and Forest was logging.
Yeah.
And even ski resorts. The ski resort people don't want to know about it. It's like, oh, we don't open up in summer.
Yeah, exactly. Like I look at Falls now from when I started working there, and everyone was a bit weird about mountain biking and us digging up their hill. And then now it's just like we're holding huge races. We have Chaos events in the snow, and we're doing all these really cool things and selling out all our mountain bike races. And all the locals are so accepting of it now and really want to help promote it. And so many more locals ride now as well, which makes me extremely happy to see every year. So it's good to show that we can do it year round. It's the best. So anyway, we went on a huge fucking tangent there, which is awesome because I like a good tangent. I want to go next into you went overseas a bit and did some racing. You went to Mongolia and you got pretty crook over there racing. Mongolia has always interested me. I've always wanted to ride a motorbike across Mongolia. What is that country like, and how did all this go? How did this come about?
Wow. I got an email from the race organisers saying, we've got an entry for you. All you have to do, we've got an entry for you, and all your accommodation will be taken care of. All you got to do is get your flight over. I can't remember, something like that. And I just went, oh, geez, okay. That's really tight, because that was going to be in August, and then I would get back. And then only a few weeks later was the next World Championships that was going to be held in Stromlo again. Yeah, that was how it was, because the year before that it had been Italy. Anyhow, I thought, I can't say no, because, wow, Mongolia, I gotta go. So I worked it out. Norm contacted them, and he wrangled himself a media gig. So he got all his accommodation and everything paid for. All we had to do was get our flights over. And there we were. We're in Mongolia. Now, it is the most interesting place. I can't even still work it out. It's this crossover between old school USSR sort of Soviet rule, all the buildings and this kind of like, I don't know, it just looks like you're back in some really depressed age, meets today with Rio Tinto mining coming in and all these Hummers driving around and people just walking around in suits, but hitchhiking because that's what you do, because everyone hitchhikes there. And then they hitchhike back to their gers that are beside a river. And on top of that is like satellite tower, and they've all got mobile phones and logging in and whatever, but they're living in their sort of, little remote homes. So weird. It was just so weird. But it was, and driving, just drive wherever you want. I don't know. All the roads just go like this, and especially when you get out to the country. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it looks
Beautiful
incredible.
people and the most amazing hospitality. And Ulaanbaatar is different though. It's just really reminiscent of, because I think it used to be, because it's so close to Russia, used to be part of that USSR sort of rule. But the landscape, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, up into
there
like
was
the
one day.
Crimean steppe and all those sort of up towards Hungary and
Wow.
everything just looks incredible.
There was one day we were racing, and it's just on a road, like a dirt road, just double track. And the double track sort of becomes another double track and another double track, and the double tracks go everywhere. But there were these horses, and they got little short legs and they're stubby bodies, and and they're just running alongside me, and I'm racing, and I'm thinking, wow, hello horses. Yeah, wow, this is beautiful. It's just the most amazing thing. That was probably the most memorable moment of the whole time, because the horses were there in their environment doing their thing, and I did not fear them coming across in my path at all. I was just in awe of them.
Yeah, that's
You could
awesome.
hear them, the hooves on the road, and yeah.
Yeah, right. And so what was the racing? What were you doing over there? Was it like a multi-day endurance?
Yeah, it's called the Mongolian Mountain Bike Challenge or something, but it's a race.
Yeah.
So I think it was maybe 7 or 8 days, and each day was over 100 Ks. And again, it's not single track, but it's up and down some pretty, when you're up there and you're already at about 1,000 meters above sea level, and you're only climbing another 500 meters up to the top of this, but they're just long climbs. I'd always be looking at that climb going, I reckon that's 5K long.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I'll get to the top. Yeah, that was a 5K climb, even though we're only climbing 500 meters. And then you go down the other side and back up again and down and back up again. It's just a lot of climbing, a lot of elevation, and just a lot of beauty. And you would see some crazy things like people out there with their herd on a horse with a what do you call it? A bird, an eagle, whatever it is, on their shoulder. Still very old school.
Yeah, right. It's
Definitely.
lots of good tea though too. I reckon they just drink a lot of good tea over there. Yak
They
milk.
do. Norm got to try out mare's milk and fermented mare's milk, and this cheese that they dry, that they always keep with them, because if in the middle of winter, if they don't have food, it's from a mare, and they turn it into cheese, and it's got high energy and high fat. Anyway, he tried that and he was like, oh, but anyway, I guess if you're dying, it's good for you.
Dying in the middle of a Mongolian winter, you're gonna eat weird mare cheese.
Yeah.
So how did you end up getting sick? There was like a lot of endurance races that I know, their usual thing is like sometimes like in Nepal and stuff, you're going through villages and they got open sewers and stuff splashed on your water bottle, or maybe it's something you ate. What happened to you?
Yeah, probably something I ate. But thankfully for me, it happened on the last night. Like on the first day, I remember riding past a guy. And so just imagine it just in an open climb that's just meandering its way up the step, and you can see everything. And there's a guy that's just pulled to the side, put his bike down, pulled down his necks, and he's on the side of the trail, and I went over to the other double track on the other side, and it's like passing a piece of roadkill. I was like, oh, I can't see anything, can't see anything. But all I could hear was I was like, oh no, the poor guy, he's got the shits. Oh no. And he passed me later. Obviously, he felt good, but the sun was shining through the back of his necks, and I could just see like shit.
Oh man, that must be horrible, especially when you got to race 100+ Ks.
So poor guy had a bit of shit on the first day. So yeah, for me, it happened on the last night, but I didn't get the shits. I just felt really sick, like really, really nauseated, and it got worse and worse and worse. And it ended up being salmonella poisoning.
Right.
Couldn't eat for days. I ended up going to Townsville straight off the plane, and I was being, I guess, billeted by a couple of friends up there to do some recovery riding and just enjoy the sunshine before I came back and got ready for the Worlds. Thankfully, I went to a doctor and they gave me some antibiotics, and I got good.
Oh,
but
wow.
I lost 5 kilos, which was perfect. So I went, oh well, that's my race weight for this.
That's the gain out of this.
Yeah, I am going to keep that 5 kilos off. So I never touched another donut for another few weeks. I just kept the 5 kilos off and raced like a demon.
Oh mate. So you went on from there, and like you did a whole bunch of stuff. You're champion in 2010. You've done Croc Trophies. You went to Italy as well. Was that 2012? Yep. And you won there too. What was that like? What was Italy like to race?
Italy was just magic. My goodness, they are some passionate people.
Yes.
We went along to the mayor of the town finale Ligure, I think you say it, or and he was like, la 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 ciclismo, la, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, wow, is he angry or is he just passionate? But everyone you speak to, they were just so passionate about cycling and about having the race there. And the course was very similar kind of terrain actually to Canada, up, down, up, down, up, down. It was so hard. That particular race, I knew that I just had to look after myself because it was just the climbing. You'd get down a really beautiful, smooth, flowy downhill where you had the sea on your right-hand side. It was blue and beautiful, and it was rocky, so you couldn't look too far out on your right. And it was just this kind of really rocky luge type trails. They're not bench cut, just sort of luges. So you'd stick yourself in this water race, really, because that's all it is. Float down the bottom, and then right down the bottom, you'd have to be dropping gears because on a left-hand turn, straight up a fire road. And that's what it was like. It was super tough, but it was beautiful. So about sometime in the morning, the next day, it was dark, but I started to realize my right knee, I can't put any power down. I just cannot put any power down. And so I started focusing on my left leg and kept pedaling and let my right leg just sort of come over. So I kept stomping with my left leg, and I just couldn't get out of the saddle. And I won that race. I think it was with about 6 hours to go. Every time I came in, I said, Norm, can you rub Tiger Balm on my leg? Because that was the only thing that was just giving me a bit of relief.
Yeah.
And of course, that's when I realized, I've got to get home and sort this glute out, because it was actually a glute issue that was transferring to a knee.
Oh, okay.
But I won anyway, because it was all in my head, and pain only hurts. So I realized that it wasn't actually anything structural. I wasn't dying. It wasn't going to kill me. All I needed was to stop pedaling, really, because it was an irritation issue, a nerve thing. And that reminded me again that, you know what? You've actually got what it takes. You know, you don't have to stomp it. You don't have to be super fast. It's all in your head. It's all how you look after yourself. It was really hard, though. That was probably my hardest race because of the amount of mental strength I had to have with my leg. not working,
Yep.
and the toughness of the course.
Yeah, absolutely. Was this like, what time of year was it over there? Was it like super hot or was it?
May, June. I think it was maybe the beginning of June. So it was just finishing off in spring.
Yeah, right. And like, yeah, like I've seen finale, like an EWS race and stuff, and it can get real dusty and shaly and rocky as well. And it just looks awesome.
Yes.
I'd love to ride there. It looks epic.
We have ridden one of the trails from the very, very top of where they have, I guess it's an old power station all the way down to the old town. And oh my God, we rode and on our hardtails. I didn't go down all the chutes. It was like, whoa. But it was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like an incredible place. So you went on and you also you went back to Mongolia, didn't you, as well? And did you race that again?
No, I didn't go back to Mongolia. These things cost a lot of money.
Yeah, right. I wasn't sure if you'd gone back or not to have another go at it. But but you also you won again in Stromlo as well.
Yes. So that was after Mongolia. That was with my 5 kilo weight loss.
Yeah, right. That was the power
really,
that got you
I thought, again, in my head, I was thinking, shit, if you can actually, keep this 5 kilos off, you've got this training in your legs from Mongolia. You just come by and smash it. That was a beautiful race. I got to the end of that race. It was 3 hours to go. And I'd gotten out in front, and I didn't have it all my way. There were other people contesting me because I was certainly going in a lot easier because I had been ill and I didn't know what form I was going to be in. So I wasn't as confident. And then Norm says to me, Kim, she was from New Zealand. She was a Scottish girl, but a New Zealand citizen racing for New Zealand. He said, Kim's coming in. She's just done a stomper. She's just done a sub 1 hour lap. So this is 3 hours to go, probably 50K of riding left. He says, you better do a sub 1 hour, or, just to show her who's boss. I was like, God, okay, all right, 3 hours to go. I'll just do another lap and I'll go as fast as I can. I came in, I think it was something like 55 minutes, and Norm's like, yes, she did a 55-minute. Great. And then, I'm running scared now because I'm thinking, I've got to do 2 more laps. What if she's got another one left in her? So I did another sub 1 hour lap. And then Norm like, you can do whatever you want now. It's fine. You're now 10 minutes up on her. No problem. And I thought, no, she could be behind me. That was a really cool race. So I finished that race, and I've never had to fight so hard for the end of a race. And I was really proud of myself that after all that, I managed to do, I guess, almost some of my fastest laps with 3 laps to go.
Wow, that's awesome after 24 hours. And I think, it always gives you that extra motivation when there's someone closing in on you behind, and it just gives you that extra strength, I suppose, to go, hey, no, you're not getting this. This is mine.
Yeah. And look, it must have helped, that 5 kilos. It must have.
Did you get your trophy and go like, I'd like to dedicate this to Salmonella in Mongolia. Yeah. This got me on the podium today.
I know. I really did feel that, but I always like to see the silver linings in everything. Yeah. And I think when I went to Mongolia and I came back and I was that little bit of, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have gone, because what if I don't get well? But then as soon as I got that antibiotics from the doctor and the antibiotics worked, I realized I've got this in the bag.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That's awesome, mate. And then you went on again in 2015 to go and do it again as well. You did an Australian champ again in 2015, I think it was. Where was that race at?
That was at Mount Stromlo too, my favorite place. No, it was. I was very, very lucky that was. I wasn't actually going to race that one because we were in the throes of running all our businesses. So I was training far less and focusing a lot of my energy across a lot of areas. And the plan was to just turn up and do the Scott 24 hour. The Canberra Off-Road Cycling Club, Cork, had decided that they weren't going to run the solo championships separate that year. They were going to run them in conjunction with the Scott, just like they did back at that one that I went to at Cowan Forest. And it was going to be a joint race. And I went, oh, I guess I should probably do it then. Yeah. So the intention wasn't to do it. But when it became available, because, see, normally the Aussie Championships have been run at Easter.
Yep.
Now, if you're involved in cycle tourism, you do not go and race at Easter. You work and you look after people who are riding bikes in your tourism environment at Easter. So, yeah, the fact that it had become available in October, when there was nothing on, it was like, great. So that's how that happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, like, shit, you've done it for so long by that point, so you sort of know what you've got to do to prepare yourself for a 24-hour solo. But I mean, when you're trying to juggle 3 businesses, you got children, you got all this other stuff going on in your life, man. Were you thinking at that point, going, can I do this again? Have I got this?
Yeah, pretty much. And again, like I said in the very, very beginning about 24-hour racing, it was like, do I want to do this again?
Uh-huh.
I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've got a lot of other commitments on. Do I have the energy to even care? Yeah. And that's what it comes down to, because at 1 o'clock in the morning, when your mind is saying, oh, I really just want to go to bed right now, if you don't care about being there, it doesn't matter about winning. Someone's got to come last in these races. And I always put my hat off to the people who race a 24-hour race, and they know that they're going to come dead last. They know that they're just there to just get it done. And I think, God, I could think of better things to do for 24 hours. But everyone's motivation is different. So going back to that, I had a very good conversation with Norm and with myself. Why are you doing this? What are your reasons? What do you hope to achieve? What song do you want to go on in your head? And at the end of the day, what are you willing to settle for? And I realized, no, I want to win. That's it. And if I win this, that'll be 3 national titles, and then I'll have 3 and 3, and there'll be a nice little pocket of jerseys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you were into your 40s then too, weren't you? Starting your 40s.
I think I was like 42.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, and like you were saying, someone's got to come last in these races. And I think just to even finish a 24-hour solo race is a win in itself. No matter if you come first or last, I think it's an incredible feat if you can make it to the end. And I say that to anyone who does endurance racing in general. I think it's an incredible feat to even just finish it. Like, I can barely finish a day of riding with the crew. I'm 10 after about 5 shuttles these days, yeah. and I'm only 40. So yeah, to do that again is also do a 3 and 3 is pretty incredible. And at the end of that one, did you feel like that was it? It was a good time to wrap it up?
No, I didn't. I didn't wrap it up. And just quickly going to the next thing, I went again next year. It was the weirdest thing. And I reckon it's because we were so busy with our businesses. We were so busy with running the events. We were just busy. And I picked up the next year like, oh, yeah, I'll just go and do another. Yeah, it's what I've always done. Yeah, okay. And I didn't even think about it. I didn't even give it consideration. And Norm was like, yeah, all right, we'll turn up, we'll do it. And I turned up, and it seems like it was about 6 hours in, I was winning. And then I just started slowing down. And I thought, why are you slowing down? What's going on? I thought, is everything okay? You start doing a systems check within yourself. And I could see that one of the other girls was catching up. And normally that would be fine. I'd like, oh, good, I'll ride with her. This will be good. We'll get to see how each other's faring. We're only 6 hours in. You've got 18 hours to go. And I went, actually, she can catch up. I don't even want to win. I don't even want to be here. I just don't even want to be here. And I turned off early. hid in the bushes for a second, took my number off, rode the long way around Stromlo, and just went, I feel good. This is it. This is the end. I should have retired last year. Why am I here? I've just spent all this money to get here at Canberra, and I just do not give a shit. Wow. I do not want to be here for another 18 hours. And I went back to Norm, and Norm was like, go back out again. I said, no. Listen. It's my fault. I brought us here. I don't want to finish. It's 18 hours to go. Let's go home.
Wow.
And he goes, but Jess, this is not a good way to end it. I said, it has to end. It's ending now. Why should I go and do another 18 hours just because I turned up? No, that's a long time to ride around just to go, I just came to say goodbye. I said, I'll just have to suck it up. It'll feel yuck. I'll have to apologize for everyone for being a dickhead. But I'm done. Yeah. And it felt so good. I felt my shoulders go from here. They went from high up around my ears all the way down, and just so relaxed. Yeah. And that's when I knew, that's it. I'm done. No more 24-hour racing.
Wow. And after so long doing it. Yeah, there you go. So what did you get up to after that when you knew that you were done with all that hardcore training and mental preparedness and everything you're going to do? What did you and Norm get up to after that?
Oh, just riding bikes. But then I went and did an Ironman in WA, Ironman triathlon, because I'd always wanted to do one. So that opportunity came up, and that was actually hard because I'm not a very good swimmer. So that was good that the swimming got cut out because there was a shark. So, that always happens in WA.
Yeah, of course, especially in the southwest for sure.
Yeah. So I did that. I also did a couple of bike packing races. They were fun, except for the one that I hit a wombat and then I was concussed.
That was Cloud Ride, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I'd never even heard of Cloud Ride until I was actually researching this episode. Explain to us what Cloud Ride is.
Cloud Ride is 1,000-kilometre self-supported bikepacking race. Starts in Canberra, finishes in Canberra. And I think each year they alternate the direction. Sometimes it's clockwise, sometimes it's anti-clockwise. It's super tough. Sometimes you're on bitumen, sometimes you're on dirt road, sometimes you're on single track, sometimes you're on walking track, four-wheel drive track, ski trails, out the back of whoop kind of just you don't even know where you are kind of trails, up and over some pretty hectic mountains that is just hike a bike for a very long time and hike a bike on the other side because it's that steep and shaly and you've got a fully loaded bike. You don't know what's going to happen. And you do it as quick as you can over Easter.
Yeah, right.
So I was doing really well. I was coming second. There was a guy in front of me and he was maybe 50K in front of me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I reckon it was about 200K to go. I just stocked up at Nimitabel and I was on my way through a spot called the Badger State Forest, I think it is, on a road called Peak Road. And it was beautiful. It was getting dark and all the wombats are out. They were everywhere. And I stopped on the side of the road and I messaged Norm because I had my phone on a quad lock on my bike and I messaged him and I said, Norm, you would not believe it. It is Wombat City up here. It was about maybe say 7:30 p.m. And I said, anyway, I'm just going to slow down because there's so many wombats everywhere. And I hope that I'll get to Canberra maybe by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I just had about like a 6-hour sleep at what's it called? Bombora? No. Oh, Bombala. I think it's Bombala. So I thought I'm not going to need another sleep. I can get through. And then all of a sudden, I don't know anything. I got up off the ground. And so I'd obviously hung up or stopped sending the message from Norm. I put myself in the middle of the road with my lights on because I'm thinking if a wombat comes out, they scuttle left and right. And, I thought if I go in the middle of the road, I'm going to see one scuttling out. But I suspect what's happened is that one's come out and hit the back of my front wheel, because the way I've landed, all my stuff is torn here. The impact was on the right-hand side of my helmet near my ear. And I reckon I've just landed. There's no scratches on my body. There's no grazes or anything like that. I reckon the wombat has come and hit my bike. I've just gone boom, and that's where I've gone and concussed, because I've hit my head so hard. So I get up off the ground. I try and just hop on my bike. And I think, oh, yeah, I'll just hop on my bike. I start riding, and I'm wobbling around like some drunk bastard. And then I think, when I've landed on the ground, I think what must have happened is I've buckled my front wheel. So I go around to the front and I try and unbuckle my front wheel. Yeah, I'll give that a go. And then it starts to click. Why am I trying to ride my bike? Why wasn't I on the ground? Where am I going? What's going on here? And so I'm riding along still trying to work it out. And then I realized, oh, hang on, my Garmin. Oh, yeah, I've done 800 kilometres. Right, I've got 200K to go till Canberra. That's right. I should be right. And I think, Jess, you're not going to be right. You've fallen. You've hit the ground. There were wombats. A wombat must have hit you. You need to go find a farmhouse and try and tell them what's gone on. Try. So then I'm trying to tell them, I'm trying to get them to call Norm, and they must think, they didn't know what was going on. They're trying to work it out. They ended up taking me to Cooma Hospital. Norm caught a plane the next day. Thankfully, he had a spare key for the car, and I even dropped a pin as to where the car was, so I was able to let him know that. And then he came and picked me up, and then we drove home. And then it took me about, I think it was 12 weeks before I was able to race again. And it was a bit of a long recovery from that. I couldn't even walk without my left foot dragging. I would go to sleep and I'd wake up every hour. It was like my filing cabinet had been sort of, as I crashed, filing cabinet doors had come open and everything, all my memories had just gone on the ground, and they were still there, but they were no longer filed. And so for the next year, maybe 2 years, even now, I spend a lot of time thinking about the answer before I Google it, because I'm trying to get that information and put it back in the file.
That was like 2017 or 18, wasn't it? It wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, I think 16. It is a while ago now, maybe 17, 16. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a few years back now.
It must have been a hell of an impact to rattle you that much, considering how much you're a pretty mentally strong person, and it must have rattled you as well, knowing that your whole filing cabinet's been emptied out by a wombat.
Well, do you know what's really funny, Steve, is when you have a brain injury of sorts, when your brain can't function, it's a good thing because you can't function. It's like the control center. If you'd had a fall and your brain allowed you to keep going, which happens to some people with concussion, they keep going and they don't experience what I experienced for a day later, a week later, and then they experience it.
Yeah.
The fact was I couldn't go on. So I was very, very lucky that I just listened to my brain. I mean, I had no choice, actually.
Yeah.
So getting home, I was quite angry. I was, very short-tempered. I did all the right things. I went and saw a doctor, went and did the whole concussion testing. I think they call it SCATS testing or something. So, what all the footy players get. And that was really hard. But, I just thought, okay, I'll start at the start. I'll just get on my trainer and just pedal really slowly and really easily, and I'll take my dog for a walk. That is all I will allow myself. So that was quite amazing to come back from that. Very, very lucky.
Yeah.
But I ended up looking at my data from my Garmin, and on Strava, I was able to look at a particular moment, and I saw when my heart rate was here, and then it went down to, sort of like 45 beats a minute. And that was for about 25 minutes until I started moving again. So I must have had a good sleep.
Oh, mate. It's amazing, like nobody came across you or anything like that.
Oh, it's a really, one of those back roads that no one would have been there.
Yeah, the good old Australian back roads, the straight road to nowhere, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you guys been doing
Cloud Ride.
Cloud Ride. Yeah, again, I'd never heard of that one until I was researching this episode. Do they still do that? Oh, I know it's been pretty hard the last couple of years to do these sorts of things, but
I don't know. I think they did do it last year or this year. Sorry, this year.
Yeah.
But I think they did a shortened version, or they rescheduled it to a date when they could, when ACT wasn't in lockdown.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good to see so much racing coming back. It's I'm so excited for this summer. It's I'm bursting out of my skin to go and watch some racing of all disciplines. Everyone's just so pumped to race now this season. So you guys have been getting into a lot of road riding as well. I've noticed on your Instagram stuff, you guys have been just doing some little mini bike packs and cruising around. You've really been enjoying your time on the roadie?
Well, I haven't done too much road recently, more on my gravel bike.
Yeah, awesome.
I much prefer to head out on the gravel bike and just go explore. I actually had a really bad incident this year. I don't know whether you know.
Oh, okay.
But I was sort of volunteer lead rider for a group ride out on the Great Ocean Road, and one of the guys in my ride he was behind me, but he slightly veered out onto the other side of the road, and not deliberately, accidentally, like everyone's done, gone slightly out of the apex and hit an oncoming car, and oncoming car ran over him and took his life.
Oh my God, I never knew that. That's horrible.
So it's no one's fault. It's just one of those shitty accidents. But I was there and had to see it and deal with it as with other riders, and it was probably one of the most traumatic things I'll ever have to deal with thus far.
Yeah.
And not that I'm saying I don't ride road bikes because of it, but one of the things is that I've now seen what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really horrible to hear. It's funny, I've spoken to it with a few people on the podcast as well about, the line that you do ride along on the road. It's a fine line. It can go bad extremely fast. We have a lot of people ride the Falls Creek Road, and they come out of corners, and all it takes is a little bit of gravel on the road or get a little bit squirrely on a corner, and it can all go wrong pretty bad. So it's it is a risk, unfortunately.
If it's by yourself, that's fine. But I always say to people, and I've always said this as an instructor and as a coach and a ride leader, the very moment you think you've taken the next, the last 10 corners and there's been no car, is the very moment you'll see a car.
Yeah.
You can never, ever, ever think you're never going to see a car, because, and for cars as well and motorbikes, there will always be another road user, always. Just count on it. Just believe it.
Yep.
Don't even think, no one's on the road today, because there will be.
Absolutely.
And so for this poor person, there was a car. And anyway, that changed my life forever. And so this year's been a huge year, coming out of COVID, coming out of that traumatic incident, trying to find who is Jess Douglas if she's not racing, if she's not doing this, if she's not doing that. So the bike packing has been beautiful because of that, like for that purpose, to just enjoy that journey on quiet roads, and like almost getting back to roots, almost getting back to that great Victorian bike ride feel of like, just ride your bike and see the world for how beautiful it is at the speed of riding a bike.
Yeah, the little girl with cordial bottles full of water in a backpack going for missions.
Yeah. So here I am now, nearly, heading on to 49, and I'm going back to why I got back into, why I started riding bikes.
Absolutely. That's what a way to bring this all the way back around to the start again. This has worked out nicely. So again, so the final question, and I ask this about everyone, just like at the start when we talk about where you're born and where you grew up. What's next for Jess Douglas? What's she gonna do? You told me I'm gonna just blurt it out, but before we start recording, you said you're writing an autobiography. What's going on with that?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's so cathartic. I got back into it after I had that traumatic incident earlier on this year. I had a bit of a break because the whole COVID thing was sort of getting me down, and I just needed to not think about anything for a while. And I found that really good to get back into writing about everything that I've done. But there's so many messages underneath that. So now I'm in the phase of rewriting some sections, and my goal is to have it. I'm self-publishing, and that will be done in March, or probably around March. I'm starting like a fine arts course. Like I've been doing a fine arts course, like a certificate 3, but I'm going to the next level next year. And that was also something that as soon as I finished year 12 and I got into uni, it was a fine arts course in Sydney. So it's sort of like, oh, wow, after all this cycling and all this parenting and all these businesses, I'm also going back to that. Now, a lot of people also say to me, will you ever go back to racing? I said, not yet. It's not a no. It's just not yet, because I've got other things that are really exciting. I still love riding my bike. I still love exploring. I still love, riding up climbs and coming down the other side. And I just need to get back to the fun side of things, which, like I said to you earlier, it's so good to look back at what I've done and all the hard work, and it's okay for me to just chill.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
You've bloody earned it, mate.
Yeah, and I haven't renewed my passport either, so I can't go overseas.
Actually, shit, neither have I, man. The world's been so crazy, I haven't really thought about those sorts of things in a while.
And, that's exactly right, Steve. The COVID incidents, the last 2 years with COVID, to me, that has kind of been a bit of a pause that was a blessing. I didn't know it was going to be until now. And now I look back and I think, oh, that's right. You're allowed to take a stop. Like, you're allowed to stop and you're allowed to just enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It felt like a sort of a reset almost, even though it was terrible what's been going on. But for myself personally, it felt like a bit of a mental reset for me. And hence why I pulled the trigger to start a podcast. It's something I've wanted to do for so long, and I just never thought I could find the time. But then when you realize you're stuck inside your house for so long, you're trying to find things to do. And I pull out my little book of ideas and go, oh shit, let's give this a go now. And now it's starting to take off, and it's awesome. And like, if it wasn't for that time that I could have on my own to reset, I don't think I'd be able to, do something like this now. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, see, all good things have come out of it, even though there's some bad things.
Yeah, exactly. Take the good from the bad, right? Yeah, cool. So bikepacking adventures and maybe some racing, maybe not in the future, and an autobiography on the way. That's
we will see. Maybe when I get to the next age category, right? Maybe when I'm 50.
Sweet.
Then I can just be that next age group, that next age bracket. Because now I'm at the top age of the 45 to 49. So just want to wait till I'm a bit older and get back into it. But no, we do have another goal. Like with Finley, that's our grandson that is born. Don't know about the other grandson yet. But with Finley, he loves riding his bike. He loves playing the ukulele. He loves exploring. We want to do a bikepacking trip with him. So we have one of those little seats that goes on to the front. And we were thinking, we'll ride 30 Ks, go to a caravan park, camp there, then go maybe to Torquay, have some breakfast, and then ride home.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'll be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd love that. What a way to get him into endurance riding young. Norm will be slinging spanners for him as well when he's a teenager, doing crazy races.
Oh, Norm would love that.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's really cool to catch up with you. Your story's an awesome one, and this one's been a lot of fun. I've really, really enjoyed it. So thanks again, Jess. And
no worries, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll hopefully see you out racing and see you around the place.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. So one more thing, where can people find you? Where can people follow you and check out all the adventures you go on?
Yeah, probably the best. Oh, look, I My website has all the Instagram sort of feed on it, which is jessicadouglas.com. Or there's the Facebook, which is just Jessica Douglas, or Instagram, which is JE Douglas 73, or you can just search Jessica Douglas. That will pop up as well. And you might see some artwork in there as well, and lots of photos of Finley.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Bit of grandson love. Yeah, thanks again so much. You can find me at the TSG Bikecast on Instagram, and you can see our beautiful dynamic faces on YouTube as well on the show on That Stoked Guy on YouTube. And you can check that out because for some reason people really enjoy watching podcasts. I never thought it was a thing until I started getting messages, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, I'll start doing that too to make people happy. So again, thanks again, Jess, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.
So that's it. End of the episode. I hope you enjoyed the story with Jess. It was a lot of fun. She's, like I said at the start of this episode, she's an extremely interesting person. She has also released her book just recently, like literally recently. It was randomly around the same time that I was releasing this episode. It was just this weird coincidence. So anyway, if you want to buy her book and read about her life as well, you can get that at her website, www.jessicadouglas.com, and check it out there. Jess has kindly sent me a copy as well, which hopefully will come in the post soon, and I'll be definitely giving it a read. And if Jess is happy, I'll bring her back on the show and we'll talk about it, the same as I did with Nick Bowman and his book. So as a big book nerd, I'm really looking forward to reading it. So anyway, there may or may not be an episode next week. We've got racing on the mountain this weekend, so I'm pretty flat out. I haven't had a lot of time at this point to edit anything and record as well, which I already missed. So the joys of this being a hobby and not my job so far. So anyway, again, thanks for all the kind messages. Like the YouTube channel so we can help that grow. Tell your friends, and if you have any suggestions of guests you'd love to see on the show or people you think I'd get along with and have a good chat with over a beer and talk about life, dirt, and bikes, well, just flick me a DM or put it in the comments. So anyway, with all that said and done, I love you all, and I'll see you out in the trails.